He put her out in the Georgia rain with one suitcase and the quiet certainty that she was the broken one, the reason their house would stay silent forever. 8 years later, on a Saturday so hot the air shimmered above the church parking lot, he mailed her a wedding invitation, convinced the final proof of his victory was about to walk through those doors alone. At 2:17 p.m., the organ stopped mid-phrase, sunlight poured through the sanctuary, and what stepped into that aisle carried every silent prayer she had whispered in the dark. In 8 heartbeats, the man who thought he'd won discovered he had lost everything he never knew he had. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and if you're new here, click the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. He stood at the front of First Baptist in Augusta, Georgia, smiling the way a man smiles when he believes he has finally won. 8 years earlier, he had put her out in the rain with one suitcase, and the quiet certainty that she was the reason their house stayed silent. So when the heavy oak doors creaked open on that sticky June afternoon, he expected to see a broken woman slipping into the back pew, head down, proof that time had punished her the way he never could. Instead, sunlight poured in behind figure after figure, and the organ trailed off into a single, uncertain note. What stepped into that aisle carried the weight of every prayer she had whispered alone, and it changed the rest of his life in the space of 8 heartbeats. Cole and Lauren Matthews met at Clemson in the fall of 2003. He was the linebacker who still said ma'am and sir. She was the nursing student with soft green eyes and a laugh that made him feel steady for the first time in his life. They married 2 years later under her grandmother's pecan trees while cicadas sang in the heat. Everyone who knew them said the same thing: those two are going to make it. For a long time, it looked that way. Cole built a real estate business that let them buy 40 acres on Lake Oconee, a wide porch house with creaking pine floors and a swing big enough for 2. The only thing missing was a crib in the nursery. Month after month, Lauren would sit on the cold tile of the master bathroom, staring at a stick that refused to change color. Cole would stand in the doorway, arms folded tight across his chest, pretending he wasn't counting the days right along with her. Have you ever loved someone so much you were willing to let the blame settle on your own shoulders just to keep the peace? Lauren did. For 8 quiet, aching years. The doctors ran every test on Lauren they could think of. Everything came back perfect. When they gently suggested Cole give a sample, he brushed it off with a laugh that didn't reach his eyes. Men in my family don't have that problem, he told her, the same way he might say the sky is blue. So the appointment stopped, the hope dimmed, and the space between them grew wider than the lake outside their bedroom window. Friends started asking careful questions at cookouts. His mother started dropping hints about younger women who already had children. Lauren heard every word and carried every look like stones in her pockets. By the fall of 2015, the house smelled less like Sunday supper and more like the bourbon Cole kept pouring after the sun went down. If this moment reminds you of someone's real-life struggle, feel free to share it in the comments. Your stories help guide our next videos. It was a Thursday in early November when the storm finally broke. Cole came home late from a client dinner in Atlanta, tie loosened, eyes glassy. Lauren was at the kitchen table, folding tiny cotton onesies she had bought on clearance and never found the courage to give away. He didn't sit down, he just said, "I can't keep pretending this is enough. I'm 36. I want a family, and you can't give me one." She asked him one last time to get tested. He gave her a short, bitter laugh and told her it wasn't necessary. They both knew the truth. By sunrise, the locks were changed. She walked out with her grandmother's quilt over one arm, her Bible in her hand, and a single suitcase dragging behind her like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Cole told their friends she had decided to leave. Most of them believed him, because it was easier than asking hard questions. 6 weeks later, he was dating Ashley, a cheerful 29-year-old who talked about babies before dessert arrived on the first date. If you had been Lauren that night, standing on the porch in the cold Georgia rain with everything you owned in one hand, what would you have prayed for? Lauren drove 2 hours east until the interstate turned into red clay roads and ended up in Madison, Georgia. Population 4,000 on a busy Saturday. She rented the apartment above Miss Clara's flower shop, the one that still smelled of gardenias and old wood. She took a job at the county clinic, checking in patients, weighing babies, smiling even when it hurt. Sundays, she sang alto in the choir at Madison Baptist, the same pew her grandmother had claimed 50 years earlier. She stopped explaining why her eyes filled with tears when someone asked if she had children of her own. Cole married Ashley in the spring of 2018. Lauren mailed a simple card that read, "Wishing you both joy," and signed only her name. She meant it, because some pain you have to hand over and let go. Years passed. Cole posted pictures of European vacations and new boats on the lake. Lauren posted nothing at all. Every spring she planted peach trees in Miss Clara's backyard, and every fall she canned the fruit and carried jars to neighbors who never asked questions. If you're feeling the weight of this turning point, tap the like button. It helps the channel reach more people. In March of this year, Cole decided to renew his vows with Ashley. Bigger church, bigger guest list. The whole county invited. Someone found Lauren's address and slipped a thick cream envelope into her mailbox. Cole told his best man it was the Christian thing to do. Let her see what real happiness looked like. Lauren held that envelope for 3 full days. She ran her thumb across the raised gold lettering, thought about the boys who had started asking questions she couldn't answer yet, and wrote back a single line, "I'll be there." +3. No one in Augusta understood what +3 meant until the day arrived. First Baptist smelled of white roses and hairspray that Saturday afternoon. The pews were packed with the who's who of Georgia real estate. Cole stood at the altar in a dove-gray tux, grinning like a man who had rewritten history in his favor. At exactly 2:15, the side door opened. Miss Clara walked in first, hat pinned just so. Behind her came Lauren in a simple cream linen dress, hair pulled back soft around her face, looking somehow younger than anyone remembered. And holding tight to each of her hands, dressed in identical navy suits with peach-colored ties, were 3 little boys with Cole's slow smile and Lauren's green eyes. The organist's hands slipped off the keys. A woman in the 3rd row let out a small, involuntary sound that carried straight through the microphone. Cole's face went the color of ash. Lauren didn't rush. She stopped halfway down the aisle, looked straight at the man who had once told her she was broken, and spoke quietly enough that only the first few rows heard. Yet every word carried to the rafters. "Cole, these are your sons. Jackson, Joshua, and Jude. They were born 3 months after our divorce was final. The doctors called it a 1 in 8 million miracle." She reached into her small purse and pulled out an envelope sealed with red wax the color of Georgia clay. Inside were the paternity results Cole had spent 8 years refusing to face. The lab had run the test the day the boys were born. The numbers were clear, unmistakable, and heartbreaking in their simplicity. Cole had never been able to father children. Not then, not now, not ever. His knees gave way. He caught the edge of the altar rail to keep from falling. What do you think you would do in a moment like this? Share your thoughts below. We read every comment. Lauren never raised her voice. She simply looked at him with the same gentle eyes he had once loved and said, "I didn't come here to shame you. I came because our boys asked to meet their father on the day he promised forever to someone else. God's timing is rarely early, but it's never late." Then she turned, took 3 small hands in hers, and walked back down the aisle the same way she had come. The last sound anyone heard was Joshua tugging on her dress and asking, "Mama, why is Daddy crying?" Cole hasn't posted a single photograph since that afternoon. Lauren still cans peaches every fall and gives most of the jars away. And 3 little boys now fall asleep listening to their mother read the same bedtime prayers her grandmother once read to her, knowing they are loved exactly as they are. Sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is keep walking forward until the truth catches up on its own. If this story moved you the way it still moves me, drop a heart in the comments. And if you've ever waited years for an answer you thought would never come, tell us below. You are not alone. Some stories end quietly, but this one kept echoing long after the church doors closed. If you want to know what happened in the weeks after that day, the choices Cole made, the truth Ashley finally uncovered, and how Lauren protected her boys from the storm that followed. Type part 2 in the comments. Your voice decides what chapter we tell next.